So we've already learned a little about interpolation and tags within Edge.js, but we're going to drive that home here. For starters, we can do a lot more than merely access state with interpolation. As I mentioned in the last lesson, we can also perform JavaScript expressions as well. For example, if we wanted to show the total number of points available from our challenges, we can actually aggregate that directly via interpolation. So let's go and jump back into our index page of our challenges, and let's go ahead and wrap these in a div, just so that they stick together instead of spreading from the flex that's being applied inside of our layout. And inside of this div, let's add in another div. This is where we're going to perform our aggregation. So we'll do total points available, and then we can do interpolation here. Also do note that interpolation doesn't necessarily need to be on a brand new line like Edge.js tags do. I'm just doing it down here because it's going to get a little long. Okay, inside of here, we can access our challenges and then reduce over them to grab our total and then the individual challenge that we are looping over. We can then do our reducers callback and add to our total the points from the individual challenge that we are looping over at this point in time. And then we'll start that aggregation at 0. Once saved, we can jump back into our browser now, and we should actually see that we have total number of points available set to 35, which is accurate. We have 10 for AdonisJS, 5 for Edge, and 20 for being able to build an AdonisJS app. Also do note that your interpolations can span multiple lines if they happen to get a little long. So for example, we can break this down and say if we need to chain additional methods off of it, we could do that. So since this is returning back a number, we could do to local string to format it as such, give that a save, and it will work just the same. In addition to interpolation, Edge.js also supports conditionals and loops via their tag system as well. So if we wanted to loop over our challenges, we can easily do that by using the each tag. So underneath our total points available, let's add in an unordered list, and then we'll use the each tag to loop over each challenge in our challenges. With this, we also need to note when our loop ends with the end each tag. In between, we have access to the specific block level state of the individual challenge that we are looping over. So we can add in our list item element and H3, and then use interpolation to reach through to the individual challenge's text to print it out on our page. In addition, let's also go ahead and add in a paragraph to show how many points this individual challenge is worth. So we can do challenge.points to do that. So if we give that a save, jump back into our browser, we should now see a list of each of our challenges along with their individual point value. Now, if we wanted to show a message based on the conditional state of whether or not we have challenges or not, we could do that as well. So in between our div and our UL, we can use the @if tag to say if there are no challenges in our array, and we'll end our if via its end tag, then we'll add in a paragraph that says no challenges available, if I can spell it right. There we go. An additional very little tweak to notice is that you can have spaces, if you prefer that, between your tag and its parentheses. And that applies to our if here, as well as our each, depending on your own personal style and preference. Now, in this particular case, we have challenges, so that's not going to render. So what if we wanted to show something in the event that we do have challenges? For that, we can use the else in between our starting if and its end tag. We can then add a paragraph in here to say below are our available challenges. Give that a save, jump back into our browser, and voila, there is our below are our available challenges paragraph added from our else. There is also, in the event that you need it, the option to do else if, and there's also a flip side of the if altogether called unless. So we could do unless challenges.length end unless, and then add in our no challenges available that way. Essentially saying, unless there's a length to our challenges, then go ahead and render this out, giving us an alternative option to doing an inverse if check here. While we're here, I also want to note that these native tags all come with supporting named end tags. For example, our if has a named end if tag option, unless has a named end unless option, and each has an end each option tag available. You can, however, just use the vanilla end tag for each of these and it will work just fine. So if you prefer that brevity, you do have that as an option. I tend to prefer the named end tag options as it signals exactly what it is that we're ending. All right, I'm going to get rid of this unless. We'll use our end, else, and end if there. And then next, beyond state, we can also declare variables within our templates as well. we can use the @let tag to declare a block level variable and @assign to assign a variable's updated value. So if we wanted to clean up our reduce here to move the actual reduce loop into a variable, we could go ahead and cut this out, jump up to the top of our file and do @let to define a block level variable. We can then do available points as the variable's name and then equals to assign it its value. Pretty much inside of this @let, we have access to any valid JavaScript let assignment. So this is similar to us doing let available points equal. Inside of the parentheses, we have access to do anything that we would traditionally do right here. Okay, so we'll set this equal to the challenges reduce that we cut out of our template, and then we can plop that into our interpolation using that new block level variable. Since that's much shorter, we can also get rid of all of this formatting that we have going on with our interpolation to get that all down to one line. The @let can be used in conjunction with both assign and ifs to change state as well. So we could do something like if completed challenges, which currently does not exist. This variable doesn't exist anywhere. So we'll do a nullable length check there. But if we have a completed challenges length, then inside of our if, we can do @let to define a new block level variable only present inside of this if, since it is block level, called completed points. Inside of here, we can loop over those completed challenges using, again, a reducer, and we don't need that question mark there since we're inside of an if, to accumulate over the totals per challenge, again, by adding our total to each completed challenges points value, starting at 0. If we have completed points and completed challenges, then that means that our available points to the user are whatever the total available points are minus our completed points. So we can update our available points by doing @assign and reassigning the value of our available points. So available points equals available points minus completed points. So if we give that a save right now, it won't appear like anything has changed inside of our view. We still have a total availability of 35 for our points. However, if we, for example, add in a let completed challenges, and we set this equal to an array with our first challenge inside of it, that will give us a completed challenge item, which should negate that challenge's points from our total available. So if we give that a save and jump back into our browser now, we no longer have 35 available points, but rather 25 because we've marked learn AdonisJS as completed inside of that array. So that's being negated from our 35. Awesome. So that is working a-okay. We can get rid of that there. Since we have a nullable check on that length, if completed challenges doesn't exist, then it will just skip over that if, continuing onward, because that would then be falsy. Now, as a means of added security, the double curly braces interpolation will escape HTML. So if you ever find yourself needing to actually render out HTML, you're going to want to use the 3 curly braces instead of 2. 3 curly braces won't escape HTML, while the 2 will. 3 is kind of saying that you want to print out the raw value in a way, as we saw within our layout component. So the slot within here that's rendering out ultimately our page's contents is using 3 curly braces because ultimately this slot's going to return back raw HTML of our page. So if, for example, we were to switch this to just being 2 curly braces, and we give this a save, whenever we jump back into our browser now, we're going to see our page's raw HTML just printed out because it's now being escaped. So the browser no longer sees it as HTML, but rather a string. This convention of 3 versus 2 to print out raw HTML is a safety mechanism so that we're not inadvertently plopping a script on our page, for example, with malicious intent that might be provided by our user. So by having the raw HTML or unescaped HTML with 3 curly braces, we're explicitly telling EdgeJS, we expect HTML here, please render it out as such. If for any reason inside of your actual EdgeJS pages, you need to literally print out double or triple curly braces. So if we literally wanted to see this right here as an actual string content on our page, we can escape the interpolation by prefixing it with an @ character. And when I did that, you can see that the look of it actually changed as well here within EdgeJS's syntax highlighting. So if we give this a save, we will literally just see now our 3 curly braces with our slots main because the interpolation is now being escaped as a whole. Okay, let's undo that because we do indeed want to see our page. Give that a save. And there we go, there's our page back. And finally, something's not complete unless it has a way to perform comments. and EdgeJS does indeed have that. So if we add in a couple of line breaks here, we can easily add a comment by doing 2 curly braces followed by 2 hyphens. And then we end that comment again with 2 ending curly braces prefixed by 2 hyphens. This can also easily be added inside of EdgeJS by doing Command or Control / whatever we place inside of this comment. So if we say renders default slot content won't be included in our final rendered HTML markup in any way, since it's not an HTML comment, but rather an EdgeJS comment. You can, however, still do an HTML comment if you wish, and that will work the exact same as it would in traditional HTML. So if we say HTML comment, give this a save, jump back into our browser. Let's right click, go down to inspect to open up the inspector. And you can see within this section of our DOM markup, the only comment that we see is the HTML comment. While EdgeJS is actually rendering, it's going to remove the EdgeJS specific comments, allowing us as developers to add them in for our specific benefit.